Aloha, Epic Name Bro, and others of the Dark Souls community. This is Delicate Blood. So specifically, I wanted to talk to you guys about some of the ideas that I would like to see in the future's Soul games. And I also wanted to start off a brand new character just because I'm kind of bored. Um, One of my first things that I would like to see improved, and something I'd like to preface this by saying, is that the things that I'd like to see improved in the next series, or things that I would maybe like to see changed, is solely because everything about not everything, but for the most part, everything else in the game, I'm pretty content with. I'm very, very happy with the game. The storytelling of it, everything else about it, I'm very happy about. These are little minor changes or things that we as players tend to work around, and I would like to see if there's possibly a better way of doing it. So, yeah. One of the first things I have an issue with is and a lot of games do this, and I mean, the problem I have is that I've yet to find a better alternative to it. Um, I would like more games where some of your starting equipment is more valuable. And by that I mean that I don't mind that throughout the game you find things that are better and some things that are worse than the current equipment that you have. And sometimes there's things like secrets of, certain things you can upgrade, other things you cannot upgrade, and that will change your experience accordingly. However, there's certain things that you start off with. So if I started off with the cleric, you start off with this mace, and my personal opinion on the maces in this game are a lot of them are quite terrible. Um, I've not seen anybody use a one-handed club or I can't believe that hit me. A one-handed club or mate. I rolled. I swear. I swear. I rolled. But I've never not seen anybody in PvP play with a one-handed mace or club, and that's just because the moveset for those weapons is not nearly as appealing as a lot of the other weapons. I really feel like the mace weapons in this game got really gypped, that you don't have a horizontal attack with the club, and some of the overhand attacks I don't mind them, like I kind of like them, but they are so sluggish that it's also almost not realistic even to play with them. And in PvP, I mean, you can get punished hardcore when you swing a club. Specifically, I'm thinking about the mace from the cleric class. But I would like to see a weapon like that, and compared to the thief, where you get that bandit knife, which is just gold in the form of a dagger, but all the other starting classes have less than appealing weapons. So I'd be content if it was one of those things like maybe you upgraded them later, or after you beat the game, like the final boss that you beat, he would give you a soul, and depending on what your starting weapon was, if you kept that starting weapon and you had upgraded it, perhaps it could upgrade into something very specific or particular to your class, which would also make your class choices a little bit more valuable as well. I feel that a lot of the class choices are, moot, and a lot of people end up choosing a thief or like a sorcerer or pyromancer, depending on what they're trying to do, just because you either start off with the master key or but that's gorgeous. You either start off with the master key or you start off with the attunement slots. I mean, those are your really two big options, and you don't get a lot of interest in anything else. Another thing about starting gear as well is, and this is just me being nitpicky, I generally like to play females, and something that I would like to see improved upon is some of the female gear. Like, I liked a lot of the female gear that they had in Demon Souls, but in Dark Souls, I felt like if I wanted to have just like a physically appealing character, I feel like a lot of the armor sets were geared away from any type of looking attractive, and the best that we got was really like Dusk's set in terms of female clothing, and that's just being nitpicky. But same thing with the men. There's not a lot of male outfits where it kind of shows off, and you get to be a sexy fighter. And again, this is just me being nitpicky. I just like my characters. Like if you want to play a sexy style, like this is a role playing game. If you want to look appealing, if you want people who summon you
In
to
the
just be like,
ancient
oh man, that character
legends,
looks
it is
awesome and looks
stated
sexy. Or same thing, like right
that
now I'm kind
one
of trying
day an
to do
undead
like an
shall be
old man look,
chosen.
and it doesn't look really all that much like an old man. Or and I mean, again, preference, no big deal. I'm gonna try to get through this list because I got talking about certain things that and spent too much time on them. Another thing I'd really like to see is you have demon souls, which you can use for in demon souls you can use them on spells. In Dark Souls you can use them on shields and swords, or any type of weapon. I'd also like to see that be true about armor. It would be really cool if you had certain armors that you could upgrade using certain souls rather than just buying them from a vendor. I think it would also make some of the souls a little bit more valuable to players, or a little bit more rewarding. Just like the Smo and Ornstein fight, you have to choose which one to kill, but you also get their set of armor. It would be kind of cool if you could do that as well. That it would also give you a reason to play through the game multiple times of getting their soul for the weapon, getting the soul for their armor. If it was an upgrade thing, and same thing too, you could really make that interesting by saying that and give people a reason to trade certain souls. I don't know if the game even allows that, but you could have it so that the soul only upgrades one piece of the armor set. So if you wanted the headpiece, the chest, the legs, and the gauntlets, ultimately you'd have to play a good 4 times. Otherwise, the exact opposite. You trade with people or have them craft you the piece. But that again is just me. I'm trying to read my notes while trying to play and keep you guys entertained. Um, I really like all the discussions that people have for dual wielding weapons. That there should be better combos with that. And I fully agree with that. That's something I really feel like this game does not tailor to dual wielding, even though they give you the mild option for it. I've yet to see anybody like talentedly do it. In the few players that I have seen talentedly do it, most of them play with a dagger in the offhand and they just parry with it, and it's not even like they throw it in for a lot of the attacks. So that I really agree with. But what I would also like to see is maybe creation of weapons where it also focuses on the opponent and what they're geared with. So in Demon Souls, we had the weapon Blind, and I thought Blind was one of the best ideas in the game ever because it really made you think differently. And even though it went through shields, if you two-handed your weapon, you were able to still block a lot of that damage from Blind. Blind was not an overpowered weapon; it just went through shields. So there were tactics around it, and it changed you to if you saw somebody with it. The other thing you could do is you could overwhelm them in return, even if they had a shield. You knew what their intentions were. Their intentions were to keep swinging at you nonstop, and if they're swinging at you, you could counter swing and hit them, and that would also give you a big advantage. But I really liked weapons like that. I would like to see more weapons like that, and also in terms of dual wielding, I also feel like this game has a giant lack for two-handing weapons. Like, yes, you get a strength bonus, and I'm not trying to make light of that and make light of that in any way and not give that its proper attention. But I miss weapons, again, to quote Demon Souls, because that is part of our Souls franchise. Ridiel's bow staff I thought was like one of the coolest weapons ever, but the problem was is that it was also a heavy mage weapon. I would have liked to see, a strength or a dex version of that. And same thing too, it'd be nice if there was a weapon where if you're two-handing it, if you press L2 instead of just blocking with L1, maybe you have a parry, something kind of like a push where you block the attack or you reduce a lot of the damage from the attack, but could still set up a parry and riposte with like a class of weapons, like the bow staffs. Same thing, like the whips were a great idea, but without there being any grapples or any real reason to use the whip, I have to say I was a little deflated when I tried to use the whip for the first time in this game, and I was super excited. I had a female class, and I really liked the idealism of a female with a whip just going around whipping the crap out of everything. And then I got to playing, and it was it was very disappointing for me. I was very unhappy. Um, Moving on. Hopefully, I'm not killing up too much of your time. Epic name, bro. Congratulations on your kid, by the way, dude. That's awesome news. I've heard about the drama. You're a smart guy, and clearly you're talented. You've got a lot of followers and a good head on your shoulders. I'm not too worried about you. Know that my prayers are with you, but you're gonna get through this just fine. You and the lady. I'm